guys, and welcome back to the channel. So, in the latest Kabam stream, one massive thing did get announced. For the sweatiest of tryhards, we will have anniversary Carina's challenges that will launch on December the 10th. So it's going to be 6 total challenges that revisit the Necropolis, and that is the first point of contention. And what I'm about to say is not necessarily initially my opinion, because I do not have any personal issue with Necropolis. If many of you would recall, I actually was one of the 10 fastest people to explore Necropolis, or 20 fastest people, but either way, we got a mythic tag for that. And I don't, have a particularly big issue in returning there. However, there are a few issues with that. Number one, a lot of people just hate super long form content and have their own reasons. Some of that comes from, personalities, some of that comes from disabilities, and some of that just comes from preferences or what have you. And that definitely has caused quite big of an uproar, because I have seen quite a few comments like, I haven't finished 100% Necropolis with my entire roster. There's absolutely zero chance I'm going to do these with select few specific champions that potentially many people will have underranked, so they will feel inclined to rank up champions specifically for this challenge, which again, I believe rewards wise could even justify that as well, especially if they're not asking you to rank up some complete randos, but useful champions. And I do think a lot of that will entirely depend, again, exactly how these challenges are structured and whether there are viable, decent, good options for these fights. Because, well, it's no secret that most of the people, myself included, initially ran through Necropolis just with a gun and burning revives, and then it was super easy. Then there were people who used Kate Bishop mainly with Shuri, and even if you used a gun, you still could use Shuri a lot. But point being is, these fights can be quite challenging in the nature unless you have the best of the best options. So it is inherently quite scary for this challenge to be set in the Necropolis, but it is made significantly less scary knowing that 4 of those challenges will only be half a parts with specific tags for specific parts. So at the very least, you know that you're not going to have to face the final boss, deal with those reverse control switches and so on and so forth. However, obviously that does not account for the 2 full runs that we will have to do, and especially the scariest one seems to be the all Deathless 7 stars. So that means, number one, if you want to finish these challenges, you have to have all Deathless champions as 7 stars, and that again currently is a source of quite large distress, because in order to have all of these champions as 7 stars, you effectively have had to have been very active throughout the entire year to have first 4 champions to begin with. Currently only 3 of them are available, but Deathless She-Hulk is going to come soon. And then obviously get the Thanos as well as a 7 star, which means you couldn't have skipped out on just about anything. And whilst there are plenty of the pieces that are in permanent content in the game, quite a lot of them were temporary, like made Gladiator Circuit that season, or do this Summer of Suffering, and so on and so forth. And if you missed any of that, then you're kind of stopping your tracks. Now, I do have my own personal theory in this, that Kabam will bring in the 7-star pieces, in some offers or stores, and then the question is going to be, what is your ability, units-wise, cash-wise, or in some other way, shape, or form. I do think that this particular bit would only behoove of Kabam to be quite forthcoming towards the people and allow people some way, shape, or form to have these missing Deathless pieces in the game, either permanently or for quite a long time, available via some sort of unit purchase. And here is where I'm willing to give Kabam benefit of the doubt. Kabam might not necessarily do everything to our liking, but they do come forward the player base from time to time, and I do fully kind of expect and hope them to introduce some sort of unit offers, like in the store, like the Deathless store, where you have like a, I don't know, She-Hulk piece selector or Deathless Guillotine piece selector, where for, let's say, 5,000 units or however many units, you can kind of get the missing piece of whichever champion you're missing. Obviously, you will still have missed out on the dupe and all that, but, you know, you can't get everything, and then hopefully you will still eventually be able to finish these challenges, because they do launch on December the 10th. However, I believe there will be permanent additions to the game, and that would only make sense, that eventually, if you do not have any of these champions, you have the ability to grind out, you know, the missing piece, and then get the champion and do the challenge. Otherwise, that would be kind of like rubbing it in the people's faces permanently. If you can't get rid of these ever, then for the rest of your in-game life, you have to look at these Korean challenges. And I doubt that Kabam is that diabolical, because that would be extremely demoralizing. So, before I jump on the neck of Kabam, that is one thing that, you know, I do think Kabam is going to kind of like give a hand to the players and help those who are missing like a piece or two. If you're missing most of these, well then you might have to look at these Korean challenges for a very long time knowing what you're missing. Who knows what Kabam is exactly going to do. Now, Anniversary Carina's Challenge Total Rewards. So we have Deathless She-Hulk piece, any one challenge. This is going to be something very specific that we're going to have to discuss a bit later. Tier 7 Basic Catalyst, apparently the first ever Tier 7 Basic Catalyst in the game, so that would be 1/3 of the catalyst required for you to rank 4 as 7-star, which obviously is the next natural progression of the game. I do think it's appropriate way and time to introduce rank 4 7-stars to the game. I would have hoped that it would be like a full rank up, but, you know, fair enough. We're going to judge it by the difficulty, but, you know, these catalysts are starting to arrive now. Maestro and Thanos Deathless dupes, that's absolutely awesome. So, you know, getting Deathless Thanos and then getting him duped, and hopefully him being good champion, could be, you know, very awesome, because let's face it, who doesn't want to use and play with Thanos? And Maestro as well, like, that has been like one of my holdouts in potentially ranking him up to rank 3s, because, you know, he's unduped, and I do think that his dupe makes him significantly more usable offensively, which would add a significant value to him as, you know, an investment champion. 120,000 7-star shards and 200 7-star signature stones. That's great. That just shows how much the game has progressed over, you know, the year and a bit since the 7-stars are available. And 3 Titan crystals. Could have been, you know, an Nexus Titan crystal. I'm just saying, but okay, that's fine. Awakening Gem crystal, so that's a 7-star Awakening Gem. I think that's quite awesome too. And more, hopefully that's like, you know, some rank 3 materials and stuff like that. And rank 2 materials, which we will inevitably have to use by trying to complete these challenges. So that was one of the biggest mistake with CCP challenges that Kabam released, where it effectively required you to rank up a set of champions that many people otherwise would absolutely not want to rank up, like taking up your OG Black Widows and stuff like that. And there was like very little to nothing of these same rank up resources that you were required to use given back to you. And I hope Kabam does not make that mistake again. However, the big issue here is a very specific Kabam statement. Now, again, I don't personally have a major issue with this, but I have heard it mentioned several dozen times in my stream chat, in my line chat, and just about everywhere else. Kabam specifically stated that you will not have to go back to Necropolis for any Deathless piece. That was a statement that they made, and here we are. If every single one of these challenges is set in Necropolis, which I don't think they should have done. I really don't. I think there's other content that I can explore for... Again, I don't have a personal issue with that I have to go back into the Necropolis, but I do think that was not the best decision for the community or for the wishes or desires of the community. But yeah, in this case, I also think they're going directly back on their word, because unless somebody is willing to correct me, I seem to recall a moment on these live streams when either Necropolis was introduced or when they were talking about the Deathless champions, when Kabam themselves said that the Deathless pieces will not be in Necropolis and you will not have to go back to Necropolis for any of these challenges, which turned out to be false, which is again something that has infuriated quite a few players. Ultimately, again, as with much of what Kabam is doing, I do think it has strong points. I do think, rewards look enticing. I do think challenge will be difficult. I personally do look forward to jumping in, this as soon as it launches. I might even explore the lower level of Crucible difficulty just to get some extra revives. And I'll definitely be doing it as soon as I can, because God knows I need, all the help on my roster at the moment I can get. But let me know what you guys think. Will you be doing these quickly? Will you be doing them slowly? Last CCB Carina challenges were the first Carina challenges ever. I just realized there was no point in rushing for them because the rewards were fairly meh. And it's like, yeah, you could get some rare 7-star champions, but that was literally it. And they were extremely, extremely unenjoyable. Especially the Tiger and Mojo ones. Absolutely hated those. And I still maintain that opinion. I think the Starkey ones were fine. I think the Avengers ones and Baranzimo ones, as I did them, I actually liked them more than I initially thought I would. So hands down to that. Again, the thing that I didn't like about them at the time was that you needed to rank up champions you would never, and I have never used again since. And then we had the two most awful ones, which is like Mojo and Tiger ones, which, whenever I mention them, I get like goosebumps and it's like, it's yuck. Hate those. So hopefully this is better. This is more interesting. I do expect it to be hard. I do look forward to it. Just hope it doesn't feel as, shit as the previous set did. So let me know what your expectations. What do you think will happen? I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information